So zero torque putters, they're a huge talking point right now, huge craze, but many of the prices are £450 upwards, so they're not the cheapest. I've got two brands here that are offering a cheaper option, sitting around that £200 mark, and that is from Wilson Golf and Vice Golf. I'm going to run through both of these options in this particular video. We're going to test them, give you a little bit of feedback as to whether these are just pure cheap options or they stack up in comparison to your higher price ticket options. So let's start off with the Wilson. This is a really interesting launch from Wilson, really hitting that, as we mentioned, that really high profile zero torque category, but a really good price point. These are going to come in at £199. They've got two models in the zero torque. They've got Infinite, Lake View, and then the 606 model. So two very popular shapes, I would probably say, from Wilson. And first look at these, they look quite quality. We've got that double milled club face. We've got just a blacked out top, and then we've just got some white alignment aids on the top of the head with obviously the Wilson logo in there as well. Now, zero torque, let's just talk a little bit about that as to what it's trying to do in case you don't know. So zero torque is basically where the shaft enters the head exactly in that center of gravity. So it doesn't give any bias to one side of the head than the other. So when you spin the head like that, you'll see it just rotates around very smoothly and evenly. This is really designed to help you to keep that club face square to your path throughout the whole stroke. Now, when you look at the Wilson, as I mentioned, double milled on the club face, but apart from that, they look quite a clean looking golf club. I say two very popular shapes. We've got that, the Lake View there, which is just a very rounded shape, a little alignment aid on the front leading edge, and then really nothing else apart from that. We move into the 606 model, a little bit more of that popular, a little bit of a spider sort of look to it, if I'm going to say anything, but a little bit more weight back in those corners, away from that club face. Again, that's going to help with a lot of stability, especially on those miss hits. So I just want to jump into the video there, and if you're watching and you haven't subscribed and you're getting some value out of my videos, then I really would appreciate if you could just consider hitting that subscribe button. Let's jump back to the video. A little bit of a different alignment aid to the Lake View, where we've got that dot in the front leading edge, which just aligns that center of the club face, and then two split lines running parallel on the back edge of the blade. And then as we work up the club, we've got a blacked out steel shaft, and then we've got a Wilson Infinite ZT grip, which is an oversized grip, very parallel, and a little bit on that rounded side as well. So again, a bit more personal on the grip, but if you like a thicker grip, then you're gonna probably like the grip on this Wilson. So if we just work it into that setup position, let's work with the 606 first. I would probably gravitate a little bit more to this shape myself, and it does sit really nice down by the golf ball. Got a little bit of shaft lean built into it, which we do tend to sort of see with a lot of zero torque putters. That just helps you to get that handle a little bit more level with the front of the blade. Does sit incredibly square and it's got a really nice sort of profile. Now, obviously at a price point of £199, we're not going to see a ton of custom fit options. You're literally probably just going to choose your length of the putter on this. So 34, 35, and that's probably going to be about it. And then we'll just switch over into the Lake View. So as I mentioned, more of a rounded shape. So if that's your shape you like to look at, you're going to like this one as well. Again, just sits very nicely and square. Just that little nick, white nick on the front of that leading edge as that alignment aid. We've got a subtle sort of ridge that runs where the shaft sits and through the back of the head. So that is a subtle little alignment aid, but without any white lines on it. Now, as we hit some putts with the Wilson, as I mentioned, I do like the way they sort of sit behind the golf ball, and the feel off the club face was really nice. That double milling on the club face just gives it that little bit of a softer feel off the club face without having to have that insert in there. So we haven't got a really soft insert, but we've just got a softer feel with that milling. Okay, and then let's move into the Vice now. And Vice have got two offerings themselves in this zero torque. We've got more of a mallet style and a little bit more of a blade option, which is quite nice to sort of see for anybody who likes to see a bit more of a traditional sort of looking behind that golf ball. So the mallet is the VGP04 and the blade is the VGP03ZT. get your mouth around that. Long-winded names, not very catchy, but the look of the putters are very premium. Probably a little bit more premium looking, I would probably say, than the Wilson. We see an insert on both of these with a little bit of grooving in there. Again, that's going to help with a little bit of feel, but both zero torque. So the mallet style one, you see that very popular fang shape there. Shaft goes into the head just behind the leading edge, with a small little T alignment aid and two parallel lines running on the two fangs at the back. As we move into the blade, you'll just maybe notice how quirky the neck goes into the head. It has to be like that to give it the zero torque technology in there. So there's no real way of getting around that. So it is a little bit of a quirky look. You can see we've got a little bit of that onset look to it where the leading edge is sat in front of that shaft as it goes in. As I mentioned, a little bit quirky, but a bit more subtle on the alignment aid. We've got that straight line on the back of the flange, and then we've just got that one that runs parallel to that leading edge on the top of the club head as well. A little bit of that heel and toe weighting, but again, a nice look. Shaft is blacked out in that matte, really nice, and we've got a very nice sort of squared off grip that is more slightly thicker than a standard grip in the blade, and then in the mallet it comes with a little bit more of an oversized grip with some very nice funky Vice logo in on there. So if you want to learn a little bit more about both of these putters, then just jump underneath this video in the description, and there's a couple links there. You can go and check out the Wilson as well as the Vice. And again, when we look at in that playing position, both sit very, very sort of square. Again, we've got that little bit of built-in shaft lean, and then the feel off the face again is very similar to the Wilson, maybe feeling a little bit softer, probably with that little bit of that insert in the club face. So if you play on slow greens or you've got a stroke that's very deliberate, you might just struggle with longer putts in terms of getting that ball up to the hole. But if you do like that soft feel on those faster greens, could be a great option. So the price point in the Vice, so the mallet style one comes in at £209 and the bladed option comes in at £179. So very similar to the Wilson there, the blade one being a little bit cheaper. Now, you have got a little bit more of customization with the Vice. Again, you'll have some shaft length options, but you can also change the color. Now, obviously I've got the lime green in there, but I think there's quite a number of different colors. You can have the logo in, the edging around that insert on the face there, and then obviously your alignment aids on the back. You can choose different colors, but you will pay an extra £25 to do that. Still good value. So let's just compare the Vice against the Wilson, just side by side in the two mallets. Now, what we really see here for me is the Vice is a larger head, bit longer blade length, a little bit, just a bigger footprint down by that golf ball, where the Wilson and both the Lakeside as well as the 606 is just a little bit more compact. So again, it's going to be a personal thing. If you don't want too big a head footprint down by that golf ball, Wilson could be a great option. I think just with that matte sort of black finish on it, it just gives it a very sort of subtle, more compact look behind the golf ball. So then it probably just begs the question, which one would you go out and buy? As I say, they're both in that very similar price point. Now, I think if you want something a little bit more compact, a nice sort of soft feel, but not too soft off the club face, then I would go a little bit more with the Wilson. But if you do want that slightly bigger appearance, something a little bit more funky looking, because you've got options to change the colours on the alignment aids on the putter with the Vice, and probably just that little bit more of a premium look with the head cover. Definitely the head cover is more premium than the Wilson, maybe a little bit more so on the grip as well, and maybe just that little bit of the finish on the head. I think the Vice just has that slightly more premium look. But for me, two great putters in a great price point around that £200 mark, which I think is considerably less than your TaylorMade ZTs and obviously your lab putters as well. So post comments down below, let me know your thoughts. If you want to enter that zero torque arena, but don't want to spend a high price tag, these two are great options to go and try. Okay, appreciate watching the video as always, and hopefully we'll catch up with you all very soon.